It's April 2022 and we just had a change of government in the state of South Australia, and there's a proposal that people in the Mount Barker area and beyond should be able to use gauge changing trains as a way of dealing with the fact that we have different gauges servicing the peri-regional areas around Adelaide as compared to the broad gauge trains used within the city and Greater Adelaide. The problem is that we have a very restricted pathway between Mount Barker and the city using currently the Southeastern Freeway, which is highly congested. And so one possibility would be to use this gauge changing technology, and the company Talgo is prepared to make an offer. The question is, where would the gauge change occur? In the video we're going to look at the possibilities available. The Royal Adelaide Hospital, just alongside the triangle in the rails. We can see going to our right are 4 tracks of trains which are either from Seaford or Flinders or from the hills, and to our left, tracks going to the left. You can see that there is one track currently in use and the other track has been abandoned. So this is the Talgo video which explains the technology. What happens is, as the train moves forward at a reasonable speed, it lifts up the bogies and moves the wheels in or out depending upon which way we're converting the train, and then the next set of bogies go through, so it doesn't take a very big area for this conversion to occur. This is the CBD of Greater Adelaide, the city of Adelaide, and here is the Adelaide railway station alongside the River Torrens and North Terrace tram line. This red line is the electric trains and diesel train lines for Hills Line with the Adelaide Metro, which is broad gauge. And what we're looking at is how we can get trains from Mount Barker into Adelaide using the proposed new gauge changing trains. The question is, where will the gauge change occur? We can see here that this is the proposed site of the new Women's and Children's Hospital with its car park on the other side of the railway lines at Jail Road, and this is a proposal for a multi-level Port Road. But the main issue is now looking at these gauge changing trains. If we zoom in a bit closer to the lines, we'll see there's a triangle where trains could go north-south without going into the city using this limb of the triangle. And we come a bit closer, we'll see that at this point the tracks themselves become more visible. So these 2 tracks here on the left are the Seaford line and Flinders Station line, up and down, electric. These 2 are without electric trains running on some of the time, but they are the lines going to the hills. Over here are the 2 lines on
the Gawler line, which is being electrified, and these other two are the lines which go to Outer Harbour, Port Adelaide and Woodville and so on. These two lines up here, the upper one is the ARTC track, a single track, and this other track is currently not used, and used to be broad gauge, but as we see in another view, it's blocked off and not actually used. So the proposal is we could use the ARCT track from Mount Barker and beyond to bring these gauge changing trains into the city, and at this point just near the new Royal and Women's and Children's Hospital, by putting a new track of standard gauge into Adelaide Terminal Station, and that we would have a gauge changing station place here, so that this section would be standard gauge, but the lower section would be broad gauge, and we could have it go to more than one station. And the advantage of this is we could also use the other limb of this triangle to bring a section of standard gauge to the same gauge changing place, and this means that gauge changing trains could come into Adelaide Terminal Station from both the North Line and from the South Line into Adelaide Terminal Station, and this means that remote places like Mount Barker and beyond on the South Line and Two Wells, Port Pirie, Port Augusta and so on can be brought into Adelaide Terminal Station on the North Line. So this is a close-up of the proposal. It shows that there is spare land here between the South Line and the North Line, which at one time was a public park and vegetable garden, and that this is the conversion point, and then by having this junction we can then feed into more than one of the platforms in the Adelaide Terminal Station.